Okay, welcome to part 2 of the Diablo 2 Blizzard Sorceress Magic Finding Starter Guide. In the previous video, I talked a little bit about Diablo 2's drop mechanics and magic find mechanics. I also explained why we're using the Blizzard Sorceress for this, and I also talked about some settings you can change to improve your load and save times to maximize your run efficiency. So today I'm going to talk a little bit about the beginning stages of this character, questing and leveling through the game, and at the end I'll also touch on some early magic finding strategies, running Pindleskin and doing Lower Kurast. So when you first begin with this character, you're obviously not going to have anything. It's no problem. I recommend just start using cold skills as you get them and putting points into them as you level up. Of course, you're going to want to make sure you also get your static and teleport and warmth as well. You can put points into frozen armor if you want, but I recommend just fill in your points here. Level 24, you get Blizzard. Once you start pumping that, you'll be able to kill pretty much everything in normal and nightmare, with some exceptions, and also cold mastery. These two together will pretty much carry you through up until hell. Now, in terms of your gear, you're really not going to need much. I recommend getting stealth as fast as possible from normal Countess, and you'll just collect whatever you can as you go through. Gloves, boots, belts, just look for things with resists and magic find. You can see I've just got a little bit here. My belt here isn't really all that good. Doesn't really have to be. If it had some hit recovery on it, I guess that's probably the best. And your boots as well, just some magic find, maybe some resist and faster run walk. So yeah, you'll just play through the game. Rings, you might want to look for some faster cast rate rings, rare ones if you can, that have some resists on them that can come in handy later. In terms of your amulet, just sorceress skills or cold skills will work for now. Doesn't have to be anything special. Make sure you get a combat mercenary, prayer mercenary from Act 2. He'll come in handy later, save you some potions. So you'll play through normal, and once you get to nightmare, you'll have access to some better things. You can make a spirit rune word if you're using ladder runes, ladder rune words. So you can get these 4-socketed crystal swords, usually starting at nightmare, maybe the end of normal. So you can make that. Don't worry about getting the faster cast rate maxed out on this. It's not that important. You can also make lore, which is a decent rune word for now. You can make rhyme. It'll help your survival. It's got some magic find as well. It's pretty good. And another very important one, of course, is your insight if you're using ladder runes. So this will solve your mana problems. Just find anything that you can to put it in for now. You can upgrade the base as you go. And that will take you through pretty much most of Nightmare. Also, when you're going through Nightmare, you need to start looking for perfect topazes, so flawless topazes that you can socket up using gem shrines, whatever. I reckon you're going to need to get to about 7 of those. Also, keep in mind you're going to want to look for 3-socketed helmets and a 4-socketed armor. The reason is we're going to want to make some socketed equipment for getting started with our magic find. There's a good chance we're not going to have very good things when we begin the process. So as you play through, this will give you something to do, some goal to hit. Put these two together and you've got 168 magic find ready to go. So that's fine. If you're not using ladder runes, rune words, then for a weapon, you'll probably just want to look for something like this. Just an orb that can give you some skill levels, maybe some cast rate as well. If it's got plus to Blizzard, then you've actually found a pretty good orb. You might want to consider holding on to it. So you'll play through the game. Another thing to keep in mind is to look for Ko and Limb runes, because we can use those later for some rune words. You'll play through and get to Hell. When you get to Hell, I recommend you come back and respec with Akara And the reason is because if you're just using cold skills, you'll find it probably difficult to complete the hell difficulty. You find a lot of cold immunes in hell, so I recommend switching over to a frozen meteor build. So maxing frozen orb, maybe a point or two in cold mastery, then maxing meteor and also fire mastery. If you use both of those skills, you should be able to complete hell with limited issues. It's going to be kind of hard if you're going completely untwinked, but it's doable. You're going to fight all the way through hell to Act 5 and save Anya to open up the Pindle portal. At that point, you're going to be ready to begin magic finding, so you don't need to proceed any further than this. You can complete the game if you want. However, just make sure you don't open up the waypoint in Neilthak's temple, or you'll lose your portal, and that would be a pretty bad thing to do for this character. So once you've gotten this far, it's time to respec again back to a pure Blizzard Sorceress. So just make sure, of course, you put your typical points in these skills here, maybe also in Frozen Armor one there, and you're going to max Blizzard, Cold Mastery, Glacial Spike first, so these three first, then whatever remaining points you have, you can put them in these synergies. You're probably only going to be in the high 70s at this point, so your synergies are still going to be kind of weak. Also, make sure you have enough base strength so that you can equip a Monarch. 4-socketed Monarchs are important to make the Spirit Rune Word, so make sure you have a base strength of 156. So, Spirit Rune Word is really good. You're going to want to make this. However, you're also going to want to try to make sure that you get a perfect faster cast rate in this. So this could take a little bit of time to do. So what we're going to do before we begin running Pindle, at least I'm going to recommend it, is that we're going to try to run Lower Kurast. And the goal is going to be to get 3 things. One is going to be to get a perfect spirit. The second is going to be to make harmony. It has a vigor aura that's going to help you speed up your Pindleskin runs. And just running around town, it's really nice. You can see when I've got harmony on here that I'm moving quite a bit quicker. A lot of the Pindleskin run is literally just running from the starting point down to the portal. So anything you can do to increase that time is going to help you out. Also, we're going to be looking to try to make treachery for your mercenary. You're not going to have very good levels in gear at the beginning. Treachery is something that can really help your mercenary survive, particularly when you're doing Kurast and Pindleskin runs. So if you are playing on the ladder, or if you found these runes and you feel pretty good about your character, you don't need to do this. You can go right into running Pindleskin, but if you need those runes, you can go into Lower Kurast and of course, putting your player settings on 7 or 5 so you get better odds. You're going to look for the campfires. You can see I found one here. Just be careful because the enemies down here, if you've got higher play settings, they can be quite powerful and dangerous for your character. Once you find the campfire, there's 3 super chests you can pop. Make sure you've got keys so that you can open up the locked ones. You're going to pop these chests and look for runes. Now a good map, if you're playing single player, will have 2 campfires on the map. And ideally you would like your waypoint to be kind of close to them so you can kind of do a little loop and return. You want to make sure you come back and go back into Act 4 before you save so you can get there quickly. Running across the docks in Act 3 is not a good use of your time. So right now you're really only looking for the Ko and Lim runes, so it shouldn't take too long. While you're doing this, it's also a good idea to look out for Hell runes, because you're probably going to need to re-roll your spirit quite a few times before you get the perfect 35% faster cast rate. This is important because later on it'll free up a ring slot for us. Also, you can see with this particular setup that I've got for Lower Kurast, I've got 2 spirits, which gives me really good break points. Let me just move this down here. I've got the 105 faster cast rate breakpoint. It's not too hard to get with 2 spirits, plus your stealth, plus 2 rings. Faster cast rate's really important when you're running LK. Also, with 2 spirits, your stealth, and if you can get some hit recovery from your boots or belt, or even maybe a charm or 2, you can hit the 142 hit recovery breakpoint, which is really good. It'll help keep your Sorceress alive. For a helmet, you might even, if you've got some better defensive gear, you might want to just put that on, but it's not too important. And you're just going to run this for a little bit. Also, it's a good time to pick up a lot of small charms. You're going to be looking for small charms that have plus to run walk, all resistances. You can see I've got a couple of those. But the plus to run walk, about 10 of these would be really good if you can find those. If you can find them with resist on them, that's even better. You're also going to look for good luck, plus 7% magic find. So I've got 9 of them here. Also, getting a hit recovery, 5% hit recovery is also kind of good. You might want to hold on to that as well. You'll be able to use it later. So you'll just run these for a little while and get your character ready. So once you've got Harmony and Treachery, then you can start running Pindle. Now, when we're running Pindle, we're just going to be doing this until we get into the high 80s, because Pindle doesn't give us extremely good odds, and Mephisto is a better target for some of the things that we want. When we start running Pindleskin, we're not going to need as much faster cast rate. I'm going to recommend that you move your Magic Find gear on. So right now you can see I'm just essentially using the same equipment. Spirit gives me pretty good damage bonus. I have this and this, which are giving me the 168 Magic Find. If you've got any other kind of Magic Find, you can clear 200. And you'll be ready to start running Pindleskin. Now, Pindle is quite a dangerous foe in the beginning, particularly when you're not leveled up very high. So I would recommend keeping him on a lower player setting for the time being, but it's not too difficult. You're just going to teleport over to him, lay down Blizzard, lay down your Glacial Spike to keep him at bay, and restart. You can see that you just run down and continue that process. It's not too difficult. Aim for about 20 to 25 seconds in the beginning. As you power up and level up, you can probably kill him quicker. Also, keep a lookout for some of the gear that we're going to be looking for. The Tal Rasha's pieces, particularly the armor. You can't get that from Mephisto. If you're lucky, you might get that to drop. However, that's not the only thing you can make use of. If you get something like Scolder's Ire, this has good magic find, better than what you're going to get with your 4 topazed one. Plus, it's got an extra skill level, so this is kind of a good upgrade. If you can find that, that's usable. Things for your mercenary that can help keep him alive. Vamp's Gaze, Andariel's Visage, the Reaper's Toll. All of those things are good for your mercenary to help him. Pindle and his mob can kill your mercenary pretty quickly if they have a Might, Fanaticism aura, or if they're cursed, particularly in the beginning. So those things can help keep him alive. An Oculus is nice. It can help with your mana situation as well, particularly if your mercenary has switched weapons and you're not getting the Insight aura. Also look out for Chance Guards, Nagel Ring, War Traveler, Shaco. Other things, Gol, Alibaba Blade is nice as well. You can use those when we get over to Mephisto. So this is pretty simple part of the game. You're not going to want to run Pindle for too long at this point because there's still a lot of gear we're going to be looking to get from Mephisto, but shoot for the high 80s. If you can find a Geeds, that's also very good. The higher the better. In the Magic Find, it can go up to 40. Skillers, you're not going to need a lot of skillers in the beginning. If you've got one or two laying around, feel free to put it in there. It might help you augment your damage a little bit. You can see with me right now, my character's kind of a high in level, so she's doing a little more damage than you're going to expect to do. But once you clear 3,000 to 3,500, you'll find killing Pindle to be pretty easy, and that doesn't take too much. You can see from the gear I've got, you can improve on this amulet really easily. So there's definitely room here. I'm actually doing a pretty mediocre version of this character right now. With more effort, you could easily get better things. And yeah, just going to run this for a bit. You can see that it's one of those kind of pretty relaxing kind of running. Pindleskin can drop quite a bit. Just check, he always has 2 drops. So these are the main things. For the time being, you'll also want to make sure you kill his minions, because they'll be giving you a lot of experience. Later on, after you've gained enough experience from Pindleskin, you aren't going to need to kill his minions, you'll just be killing him. You can level up from using Pindleskin all the way up to 94, if you so choose to. I recommend being in the high 80s, because with Mephisto runs, you'll want to be a little higher in level when you're teleporting around. But if you just want to keep running Pindleskin, you can get almost all the gear you want from him. It just takes a long time. So yeah, so that's pretty much all for this part of the guide. You can spend a little bit of time here with Pindle, get yourself geared up, and then the final part of this series, I'll be talking about the intermediate to late game magic finding strategies. So thank you.